YouTube, what's going on? It's Adam here with Retro Repairs, and I've got a quick video for you today. You might see that we have everyone's favorite Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt up here. So, obviously we're doing an NES item. The NES was really cool. It had a lot of peripherals. Some of them were really cool. Some of them were really bad. Some of them were really cool and really bad, say, like the Power Glove. Some of them were, I'm going to say, groundbreaking as well. I mean, they really kind of changed how we play games. So, example of a cool one, we have the NES Advantage. Awesome controller, joystick, kind of just like an arcade pad. The NES Zapper, I think anyone knows what this is as soon as you see it. Probably the best game that anyone's ever played on this game is Duck Hunt. Pretty simple concept, amazing game. This one here, a lot of people really don't like this controller, but some people love it, and that's the NES Max. So I'm going to give you a little idea on how it works. You might see up here that it's got this kind of movable joystick-like thing. Unlike the joysticks we're used to on the Xbox and Super Nintendo, it's not an analog joystick. All it does is it's somewhere for you to put your thumb without having to go back and forth and up and down on a D-pad like you're used to. So this thing slides around. You still have to push it when you get to where you like. Some people really hate that. Some people love it. So if you ever try one of these, I'll leave it up to you to figure out what you like. But the big thing about this is I think it's probably the first controller that ever had these little grips on the side. They're little boomerang look, so it actually is a lot more comfortable than the standard NES joystick, or NES controller, sorry. It's not that square rectangle thing that digs into your hands. It's actually quite a bit more comfortable. As well, turbo buttons down on the side here, so if you were playing a game that could use turbo, this is one of the few officially licensed Nintendo controllers that actually supported this type of thing. So we're going to do a quick test of this just to show you how it works. So again, just moving it doesn't do anything here. You have to actually move it and then push down. But it seems to work. Jumping works. Let's get a mushroom so that we can test down. Down works. Don't really have any way to test up at the moment. But run. There we go. You have to really push hard on run, so that's a pretty simple fix usually to fix buttons that you really don't get a good connection. So I think we're going to go ahead, crack this open. I'll show you what it looks like, how to get in there, how it works, and let's fix that up real quick. So opening this thing up is actually pretty simple. Just flip it around, and there are 7 screws to remove. So actually quite a few screws considering how small this guy is, but we'll take those out real quick and show you what's inside. Okay, so with all of those loosened, we're just going to turn it over, let them fall out, put them off to the side. I like to put them in a little magnetic dish so that they don't go bouncing all across the floor. And now take the back off, and here we have the PCB. So we can lift this straight up, and it should come up nicely. So as you can see here, the PCB is really not much different from any other type of standard controller. You have your D-pad, your start select, your B, A, and your turbo buttons here. On the back, there's a couple chips, and these presumably control the turbo and some resistors as well. So these presumably affect how the turbo buttons work. Yeah. So let's put that off to the side. The buttons are pretty straightforward. Now, the tricky thing with this is it has obviously a very unique set of pads for this. So if you lose them or you break them, you're going to have to try and repair them rather than replace them, as I'm sure they're not quite as easy to find as your basic Nintendo controller or Super Nintendo. So buttons come out, and then this guy here will come out. Since we're going to give this a good cleaning, we're going to actually open this up, make sure that there's not any stuff stuck under it. So to do so, there's 4 tabs on the back. With your fingernail, you want to gently kind of squeeze them until the tabs release, and then it should separate into a total of 3 pieces. There we go, just like that. So on the bottom here, basically just a flat platform for this. There's the little thumb nub, let's call it, and the top, which has a little bit of junk in it. So all of these buttons are going to get a little bit of a wash, as well as the casing. But we'll just put that off to the side. Now, for actually fixing button issues, this same trick will work on almost all controllers. If you ever have any that are not really getting a good connection, you have to push really hard, this should be a very simple fix. So what you need, some isopropyl alcohol. I have 99%. If you can't find 99 or they don't sell it near you, you can go with 90. Or not, sorry. I mean, 90 would work. You can also go with 70 they sell. It's a bit more common. I just prefer the higher concentration as there's less water in it. You're going to get a Q-tip, dip it in the alcohol, and you're just going to give this a good wipe down. Every single one of these pads, you want to wipe it nice and well. Use the dry side to lift it up. Or dry it up, I mean, sorry. So start select, are also going to get it. And this right here was the one in question, the B. And as you can see, there's some stuff on it. It almost looks like maybe something's worn through it or whatever it is. It's just not getting a good connection. So we're going to give this a good scrub. A bit of a wipe down. And same for all of them. Now, we're going to do the same thing for these conductive pads. So just laying them out real quick here, seeing which one goes where. Looks like it should fit just like that. So this one right here is that A button that was giving us problems, but we're going to give them all a wipe down. Just so that, again, we're getting a good connection on each of these pads. Okay, so I'm going to set that off. What I'm going to do is just wash up the shell and the buttons here just to kind of get all the years of grime and gunk off of it. And when they're back and dry, I'll be back and we will reassemble. Alright, so I've cleaned up the shell. What I do, hot water, soap, let it soak, wipe it off. If you can't get into certain areas, like around these little ribs on the side, just use an old toothbrush. Obviously, not your daily driver, but use an old toothbrush, try and scrub some of that stuff away. You know, when you look at your controllers and there's all that kind of brown or gray stuff stuck in the cracks, that's not dust, that's rotting and decaying skin flakes and fat. So yeah, pretty gross. Definitely worth cleaning them up every now and then. So anyways, moving on from that, time to begin reassembly. So reassembly is pretty much as easy as disassembly. You're just doing all the steps in reverse. So grab your parts for that little slider mechanism, put the red part in here. You'll note that it's not completely flat or even. There's a bit of a, what do we call it, an angle to it. So you want to make sure that you're matching up the angles together. So that means just like this. And they should snap together pretty nicely. There we go. And just give it a test, make sure that it's moving nicely and there's not like a huge gap or anything in there. So that's going to get put just in here like so. Flip it over. You want to make sure that it's even all the way around. If you put it in backwards, you'll notice that it comes out and protrudes on the side, which you really don't want. I mean, no, it's just not going to work. So, nope. Just like so. Then, buttons are going to go into place. So the buttons, they can only really fit one way, I think. Nope, wrong way. So the square button goes where there's only one post here. The circle button that has two posts goes right there. So they will, again, flip them over and see how there's an angle there. So I have to flip this guy around. It's just in backwards. Probably the trickiest part of this whole thing is just making sure that you're putting them in the right direction so that everything's even. There we go. That's nice and even. Start and select. These are very small buttons, so you just want to be careful that you're not losing them or anything, but they appear to be identical. So whichever one they wind up in, I'm sure it will be fine. And again, we just take a quick look. Everything's pretty even there, so that is good. Then we have the turbo buttons. Again, they're going in the same orientation as the A and B buttons. All right, now we have the conductive pads. So these, all they do is loop around these posts. They sit on top of the buttons, just like so. We have, where is it here? So there's a post somewhere it's supposed to sit on. Oh, just like that. So that sits just like so. It doesn't matter really which direction. And then your board goes on top of it all. And the strain relief just slides down just like so. You'll notice that there's a U on the bottom here, and there's a rounded side of this cable. So the rounded side goes down, just like so. And then this should sit, the board should sit nicely right like that. Put your back cover on, flip it over, holding it together. Just make sure that the buttons feel good. Everything pushes, and then screw it all together. So I'm not going to record screwing it together. I'm sure you can figure out how that works. So the screws are in place here. So now you can flip it over. Again, you want to make sure that all the button pushes feel good, and they do. So that's basically how you quickly refurbish really any controller. If sometimes there are other things that could go wrong, but this was actually just a really minor fix. Just we're getting bad connection on that B button. So now that we are good, I mean, this is good to go. I've given it a test. It works great. So yeah, that's it for this one. Just a quick little video for you here. I was able to do that in half an hour, so I did it during my lunch break at work. So shouldn't take too long, even if you've never done this type of thing before. Open it up, really just to get a quick clean, and you're all set to go. So thanks a lot for watching this video today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, like the video, leave me a comment below, let me know what you think. Subscribing to the channel, you'll get notifications when I upload new content for you as well. So thanks a lot for watching again, and we'll see you next time.